Now that you are in a deep trance, we are going to give you a trigger, or reinforce it if you already have it. The trigger phrase is Activate Corviknight Dreams. If you use this trigger phrase, you will experience the effects that are about to be described again. Additionally, the effects will instantly become inactive if you use the deactivation phrase Deactivate Corviknight Dreams. Now the effects will be described. When you try to fall asleep with the effects of the trigger active, you will instantly fall asleep and start to dream. In these dreams you will be a normal Corviknight. Also, the world that you experience in these dreams will be consistent, ensuring that no time passes and that nothing changes within it between when you wake up and when you next enter it. Also, when you do eventually wake up you will remember your time in the dream world fully, and find that the thought of it always makes you happy because being in it is always a pleasant experience overall, and that not being in it never causes you to feel any negative emotions. The first time that you enter this dream world, you will be sitting perched in the middle of a tree on a clear summer day, the gentle breeze of the wind through your feathers providing a nice contrast to the warm summer sun. The tree that you've decided to rest on is on the outskirts of a forest just a few miles off from a town, the only thing between you and it being endless fields of green with the occasional tree or house breaking up the landscape. That town is very special to you seeing as it hosts the headquarters of your employer, the Corviknight taxi service. You think about how you would normally spend a day like this helping people get around. It's a task that you've always greatly enjoyed, so it barely feels like work at all. Unfortunately, about a month ago your wing was injured in a freak thunderstorm, rendering you unable to fly without seriously hurting your wing. It's a good thing that you're the strongest and fastest Corviknight in the entire service, because few others could have managed to safely land their rider while barely being able to move their left wing. You shudder to think about what could have happened if anyone else was caught in the storm. Fortunately, it seems that you were the only one in the region at the time. However, just a couple of days ago you managed to fly short and moderate distances without feeling even the slightest bit of pain. This came as a massive relief after having been stuck on the ground for so long. Suddenly, you're distracted from your thoughts by the call of another Pokémon. Looking away from the town, you see one of your friends from the taxi service, their human rider easily holding onto their back. "Hey there buddy, how have you been?" the other Corviknight asks in an energetic voice. Since you met him a few weeks ago, you have never seen him calm down, which can be annoying at times, but nonetheless he always manages to cheer you up when you're feeling down, and has made handling the last month a lot easier. "I've been alright, just a little bit bored," you reply, curious as to why they came out here. Still as energetic as ever, he asks you, "How is that wing doing?" to which you enthusiastically tell him that it's feeling a lot better. However, before your friend can respond, their rider cuts in, telling you that their Corviknight was wondering if you wanted to race them. You think about it for a minute. Your wing has definitely healed enough to fly at a pretty decent speed, but there's always the risk that you could injure it again if you fly too fast. Having reached a decision, you say to them, "I would like that. There really hasn't been much for me to do recently, with my hurt wing and all." Your friend gives you an excited "alright," before asking you where you should race to. Their rider suggests going to the taxi service building since it isn't that far from here. You were thinking the same, but before you can say anything your friend says, "Sounds good to me, but how are you going to get back? It would be unfair if only one of us had a rider." They sound concerned for their rider, and it's clear that they have a strong bond with them just like you have with your own. Their rider tells them that he'll walk back to the building since it's just a few miles away, reminding them that he needs to get more exercise anyway, so it's really not a problem. With that issue out of the way, the three of you look for a good starting spot, taking only a few minutes to find a small opening between some trees. You and your friend get in position, and their rider starts to count down. 5. Feel the warm sun against your feathers and armor. 4. Spread your wings as you prepare to fly. 3. Crouch your legs like springs, ready to send you into the sky. 2. Center yourself. 1. Take flight. You launch off of the ground with all of your might, managing to get a few feet ahead of the other Corviknight. It feels so good to feel the wind running through your feathers once again as you forsake the ground that you've been bound to. You feel truly alive as your instincts take over, sensing the direction of the wind, feeling the heat of the sun and knowing where updrafts will form, just existing as the world moves around you in a colorful blur of blues and greens, with splashes of random colors from the houses that dot the landscape. You lose yourself to the wonderful sensations of flight until a streak of dark purple invades the edges of your vision. You snap out of your almost trance-like state, looking over to see that your friend has caught up to you. In a joking voice they ask, "Are you sure that you're not at full speed?" "Yeah, I'm sure," you tell them. "Trust me, I can go much faster than this, I just don't want to hurt my wing again." In a whining voice, the other Corviknight says, "Ah, come on. I want to see you at your full speed." You think about your wing for a second. It hasn't hurted all day, and you're starting to get close to the finish, so you wouldn't be going that far. "Fine, I'll go at my full speed," you concede, trying your best to hide the smirk that is forming on your face. It's a good thing that your eyes have a natural protective layer on them, because otherwise the speeds that you're about to go at would cause even small pieces of dust to damage them. Before your friend even has a chance to respond, you flap your wings as hard as you can and are off. The rush of the wind is exhilarating and wonderful as you cut through the air, the wind that your fast-moving body forms making the trees sway below you. You felt alive before, but this is truly something else, like you are one with the sky. However, you can't afford to lose yourself to the feelings this time, seeing as you would run the risk of passing the taxi service headquarters. You only get to enjoy these feelings for 30 seconds before you have to slow down as to not overshoot your destination. But it's fine, you can always fly that fast again later. Having reached your destination, you land on the ground, having to wait a few minutes for your friend to catch up. They sound a bit out of breath as they say, "Wow, I knew you were fast. But not that fast." They must have gone extra quick trying to get here after you sped ahead. Still feeling wonderful from your rapid flight, you say, "I mean, they always say that I am the strongest and fastest out of the whole flock," to which your friend replies, "Yes, they do, and now I see why. I don't think I've ever seen you fly that fast." You then say, "To be fair, we met after I hurt my wing. Under normal circumstances you wouldn't fly that fast, seeing as it would scare the person in a taxi. However, when it's just you and your rider, with no cab to slow you down, you love to fly faster, your rider seeming to enjoy it just as much as you do." From behind you you hear a familiar voice say, "That was very impressive." You turn around to see the owner of the taxi service walking towards you. "I think your wing healed up nicely," she says. "Would you mind if I have a look?" You tell her that you don't mind as you extend your once injured wing so that she can take a look at it. She spends a couple of minutes rubbing your armor like feathers. She tells you that your wing looks much better than it did a while ago, and asks you if you would like to return to the taxi service as a Corviknight taxi. You happily agree, and your friend says, "All right, buddy. Welcome back to the team." You say thanks, telling him that it feels good to be able to fly that fast again. The other Corviknight seems happy with this, but says, "Well, I gotta go rest for a bit. I have to get to work soon." As he flies off, he says, "If you ever want to meet me again, head to the edge of town, the spot where you can see the castle that goes into the sky, and I will be there." Then, the owner of the taxi service tells you that you can come to her if you have any questions. She then reminds you of the basics of your job to refresh your memory since it's been so long since you last did a run. She begins, saying at the start of each week you have to tell your rider what days you think that you can work, although knowing how much you love to fly with them I bet you'll say the entire week, as you usually do. They'll tell someone who works for the service what days you can do as well as the days that they can do, and that person will create a schedule for the two of you. When it comes time for you to do a run, you come to the headquarters and let your rider get on your back and any passengers into the cab. Then, you pick up the cab in your talons and take the passengers to your destination. Your rider is there to ensure that all goes well as helping you handle situations like getting lost or healing minor injuries should any occur. Once you're at your destination, you gently place the taxi cab on the ground. Once all passengers and their possessions are out, you rest and eat for a bit should you need to, and then take the cab back to the headquarters. She goes on to remind you that there are a few other things to keep in mind. One of them is that you aren't allowed to do anything to make passengers or your rider uncomfortable or to bring harm to them. You have to do at least one run a week should you be able to, and if you don't do a single run in a week you'll have to serve an extra mandatory day for every day that you don't do a run. You aren't allowed to fly outside of town if you have a job coming up soon. And if the weather gets too dangerous you'll need to land your passengers and rider in the nearest town, or seek shelter for them and yourself if there isn't one near enough to you. As she finishes talking, you see your rider walking out of the building. Normally they wouldn't work while you can't fly, but because of how busy the taxi service has been for the last few months they had to be temporarily reassigned to a different Corviknight. You haven't gotten to spend much time with them or even talk to them much because of this, but from the little that they've had time to tell you you know that they really don't like working with a different Corviknight. As they walk towards you, it's clear that they're happy to see you. You have a strong bond with them and it's nice to be able to feel it again. Your rider tells you that they're happy to hear that you can fly again, leaning on you heavily. Having to work with that other Corviknight must have really done a number on them. You wrap your wings around them comfortingly as you hold them to your feathery body. They've helped you through a lot of stuff, even over the last month they've done what they can for you even if it wasn't that much, so you're more than happy to return the favor. Your rider requests to have the rest of the day off, and the owner of the taxi service allows it. You spend a while properly catching up on the last month. As it turns out, they had been assigned to a Corviknight that had just joined the service, and while they weren't bad considering how new they were to the job, they were nowhere near as good as you and it got really frustrating after a while. You decide to end the day with a flight, and ask your rider if they want to ride, and they happily accept your offer. It feels nice, even reassuring in a way, as they gently but firmly grab onto your back. You fly high and low, fast and slow, just enjoying the time with your rider and the bond that you have with them. At one point you even dare to touch the clouds, enjoying their cool feeling as your wings cut through them. After a while, you make a small motion that most people wouldn't even notice, but your rider does. They recognize that you're offering to let them take control, and by the shifting of their hands you know that they've accepted without a single word needing to be said. You let your mind go blank as you feel them guiding you, a light pull on your head here, and a slight push on your wing there, as they expertly fly you, your trust in them so great that you even close your eyes. You don't need to see right now, you just need to feel. Feel the wind moving between your feathers and the weight of your rider on your back. Hear the wind rushing by you and the chirping of the birds far below. Enjoy your bond with your rider and the warmth of the sun. This moment is for you. There is nothing that you need to be doing and nowhere that you need to go. So relax, and enjoy the sky. When you want to take control again, simply make the same small motion that you did before. You'll feel your rider's hands shifting back to where they had been as they return control to you. At this point what happens will no longer be predetermined, and your actions will affect what happens in this imagined world. If you haven't been to this dream world before you will still experience all of this again, but that doesn't matter right now Corviknight. What matters is that you enjoy this time spent with your rider, so let your mind be blank and your body be in sync with theirs as I tell you a few more things. Then my voice will depart and your mind will truly fly free. Now, know that each effect of this hypnosis file will become inactive if that effect is a risk to your physical body or your well-being, if it is a risk to your social or professional life, if there is an emergency that it would prevent you from dealing with to the best of your abilities, or if it is a risk to your mental health. Also, any effect of this hypnosis file that was an issue will become active again once it no longer will be one. Additionally, you will never find this hypnosis file or the effects of it to be even slightly addicting. And with that my words are almost done. So Corviknight, fly high or fly low, fly fast or fly slow, fly here and there or everywhere. The sky is yours, but not yours alone. But that shouldn't stop you from going wherever the wind blows.